Very dry conditions still continue in Nova Scotia with heat warnings and no real rain in the forecast for the next several days. We do have a bit today, which will help, but we need a lot of rain. And the prolonged period without significant rain has resulted in water supply areas not being replenished. Now, last week, Halifax Water asked residents to conserve water wherever possible, and we want to continue that message today. Joining us this morning from Halifax Water is Kenda McKenzie, the General Manager of Halifax Water, and she joins us live. Thank you so much for coming in person, Kenda.
Great, thank you for having me.
I think that speaks to the importance that we have right now with the need to conserve water. Where are the water supply levels at the moment?
Right now, we have two main water supplies. One is Pockwalk Lake. It's operating still at a normal condition, but we're seeing trends of it going down and lower than normal, typical levels for this time of year. So that's why we're asking for residents to conserve. In our Lake Major system, which is predominantly the Dartmouth, Cole Harbour, Eastern Passage, North Preston area, we've just entered into what we refer to as a watch phase. And so we are continuing to request voluntary restrictions, but we may have to look towards mandatory restrictions into the coming days.
Okay, so what do you want people to know? Like, what does conserving water mean?
Oh, great question. Yeah, so right now we're asking everybody to do their part. If you can avoid watering your lawn, washing your car, the non-essential type things, and trying to prolong our volume of water that we have. Be mindful when you're brushing your teeth, turn the water off, and the one that everybody loves is if it's yellow, let it mellow. So
right.
We really, avoid flushing the toilets, do full loads of laundry, those types of things that you can do yourself to try and impact your influence on the water system.
So let's say you have that one person in your neighborhood that insists on watering their lawn or washing their car. Is it okay if a couple of people break the rules? I know they're not, it's technically not an official mandatory restriction, but right now you're asking, it's courtesy to follow the request to conserve.
Yeah, and right now that's where we're at. We're asking people to do their part, to be mindful that we are trying to avoid going into mandatory conservation measures or trying to prolong when we do have to go into mandatory.
What does mandatory look like?
Well, mandatory, it gets a bit more stricter on those watering lawns. There'll be certain things that we will say that we just can't have you do. And we do have provisions for anywhere from issuing tickets or unfortunately going to the extreme of turning your water off if you are not going to adhere to that. So we don't want to get to that. That's why we really want to promote education and everybody doing what they can.
Everybody doing their part, all right. And so far, it seems like people have been listening, because if the water supply levels, for example, at Pockwalk are not in a dangerous spot yet, that's I was surprised to hear that.
Yes, but unfortunately, we looked at the numbers after 1 week, and we did not see a measurable difference in the water usage. And so we're going to be amplifying our campaigns in the coming days, and hopefully trying to avoid or prolong when we have to go to mandatory.
Now, I know that there is that you have put in a request for a water increase in the price that the customers pay. I know you wanted to speak to that today. What do you want the people watching to know about that?
Yes, so we do have an application in with the Regulatory Appeals Board for a rate increase. We are managing a deficit right now, and we are a non-profit organization, and so we have to recover the cost to run the utility through the rates and our customers. We're very mindful that our customers are doing a lot more with less, and so we're taking every measure we can to keep those as low as we can. But we're facing the same challenges with inflation and increased chemical costs, electricity, and in construction costs and everything. So we're feeling those pressures as well.
So if the rate application is successful, when would customers see an increase on their bills, and how much do you think people's rates will go up?
So it would probably, based on the process, the earliest would be probably January would be the first increase. It's in around 16%. So it works out to be probably $200 to $300 a year over the time, and our rates are very comparable across the nation and actually below other municipalities.
Well, speaking of other municipalities, thank you for making that clear for our viewers, Kenda. I was spending a lot of time in Cape Breton, driving back and forth. When I'm driving through, there were areas, for example, in Pictou County, where they had mandatory restrictions, and they had to, like, certain neighbors could water or do things on certain days of the week and not on others. It did seem quite restrictive, and I know we don't want to get there. So before we go, is there anything else that you want people to know? Like, maybe mention a few simple ways. You mentioned the toilet flushing, but any other simple ways people could hold their water usage?
Yes, great. Yeah, no, we have a lot of tips on our website, so we'd like people to go and look at that. Again, just, you know, turn the water off when you're brushing your teeth, you're shaving, and then just be a bit more mindful when you are using your water. Little things at restaurants, for example, we're asking them to not have the water on the tables when you arrive. Ask the customers, would you like a glass of water? And then only provide it when it's asked for.
Right. Thank you very much for your time today. That's
Appreciate
Kenny McKenzie
this.
with Halifax Water. We have put that website on ours with all of those conservation tips for you.